Well, hello everybody. Good evening and a very happy Saturday to all of you. Welcome back. If you have not been here before, welcome on in. My name is Tim Maloney, going by Sir Arminius, and I am here to read some live stories to you because that's what you want. What you really, really want. I mean, don't tell us what you want, what you really, really want. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. I wanna, chicka, chicka, baka, blah, blah, blah. Sure, those are the words, right? That's what we believe. Hello, everyone. So, we are here tonight to continue our live reading of Bigfoot Found by Tim D. Smith. If you have not caught any of the episodes so far of Bigfoot Found, they are all available, all the previous chapters, 1 through 27, all available on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@SirArminius. You can go out there, you can catch up on anything that you've missed. I will also be recording all of our chapters from tonight, so if you have to miss any part of it this evening, you can stop out there and catch up on anything that you have missed. I want to say thank you to everybody out there, whatever channel you happen to be on, whether it be, let's see, what am I on? Twitch, YouTube, Kick, X, Rumble, TikTok. I am everywhere. And I'm very glad that you guys are here with us for the live read tonight. So, just a little recap if you happen to be joining us for the first time. Bigfoot Found. Essentially, we've got a reality show type of a format of these people who are out there looking for Bigfoot. They are currently in Tennessee, where they have heard reports of a Bigfoot being around. So you can expect that we are out there and looking for them. Now, Bigfoot has been blamed on a murder in the area, and so a vigilante mob has converged to try to take on our big hairy friend. They are steadily moving through the woods right now, while our intrepid team is trying to find Bigfoot, not to hurt, but to document, protect, enjoy, whatever you want to call it. So that's where we are. That's where we have been. And that's where we will pick it up live again tonight. So, as a reminder, because I do record all of these chapters, I will not be able to engage with you while the chapter is being read because I'm recording it. And so I will be happy to engage with you in between chapters. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and I will answer between chapters. I'm typing that at the same time as I'm doing this, so send it out to everyone. So, again, if you guys find that you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I am happy to answer anything that you may want to know more about. It'll just have to be between chapters. And so now, sit back, relax, and prepare to enjoy as we will dive into another evening of indie author live reading goodness, as we will continue our live read of Bigfoot Found by Tim D. Smith. One last note, if you do want to know any more about Tim D. Smith, on your screen you're going to see some QR codes. Scan those QR codes and you will be taken right to the author's website where you can learn more about the books that he has written. It is not only Bigfoot Found, there are a number of others as well. So, if you guys are ready, I'm going to take a quick sip of my energy drink, and we will get ourselves started. I typically read for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, but it's been a restful Saturday. Let's see how long we can go for. We're about 3/4 of the way through the book. This is session 5 of our reading. So let's see how far we can get through with Bigfoot Found. And Mr. Andy Norman, hello, hello. Glad to have you here with us. And so let's go ahead and dive in, starting with Chapter 28. The Bigfoot team heard the whoops and screams of men, like during a cavalry charge in the Civil War, as a band of searchers advanced up the hill and approached the hunkered down team. The sharp crack of slugs flying overhead snapped limbs on the high trees. "Turn on the lights!" Billy screamed as he began illuminating flashlights and everything else that would glow. "Why?" Harrison said, but still doing as he was told. "We don't want them to think we're Bigfoot." As the bullets continued to whiz like meteors, Billy realized something else. "Get low! Behind trees! Lay down!" As they did, a line of men appeared at the tree line and slowed to walk toward them. Tinker was in the front. "You're not supposed to be here," Tinker yelled as he approached. The men had grown quiet. Billy said nothing as he rose, looking to the sheriff. "I told you to leave." "We left, Sheriff." "You're not to be involved in this." Tinker's eyes had grown small and hard. "We thought you just meant leave your group. We'll be glad to be on our way home." "I ought to take you to jail," Tinker continued. When Billy didn't respond, the sheriff added, "Interfering with an ongoing investigation." "We were only trying to help with your investigation," Billy lied. "But we'll do as we're told." "You have about 1 minute to get out of here. If I see you again, you're all going to jail. We'll see if your Hollywood folks can help. I doubt it." Billy said nothing and motioned for the team to collect its gear, and they immediately began to walk down the mountain toward Bald River Falls. Tinker had an afterthought before they were out of earshot. "Did you see anything come by here?" he asked. Billy looked at the other members. "I didn't see anything," he said, shaking his head and wrinkling his mouth. "Nothing," Rink said. The other members agreed with her. "Nothing," Harrison said as he scratched his cheek. Billy recognized that move. He had been around Harrison for days. It was his tell. "Scram!" The team did so and didn't speak for more than a mile until they found themselves walking away from the trail below the falls and onto River Road. Covered in gear, weariness and fatigue settling over the group, they resembled refugees stumbling to safety. "Boss, I gotta rest," Robo said after a while, slowing to a stop and sitting on a boulder beside the now abandoned road. "I think that's a fantastic idea," Billy agreed. He sat and took a deep breath, then assessed his troops. They all needed some rest. Maybe it was time to go home, no matter what Ed wanted. "I have to tell you guys," Harrison said, and everyone looked at him. "Did anyone see anything? Really?" Billy looked at Rink, whose eyes had grown wide, her lips slightly parted as if she wanted to say something but couldn't. Rink was right. Billy did want to believe. Maybe his judgment had been clouded by hope. It was so dark, Billy said. He stopped before going further. They walked by us, Robo said, staring at the ground in front of the boulder, his shoulders hunched inward in confession. Most of the time, Robo made his comments in a defiant manner, as if to say, "This is the truth? Doubt me." This time was so different. You saw something? Billy asked. No, I felt it. There was more than one. I smelled it too, Harrison continued. I thought to myself that there must be more than one. I thought I was dreaming. Rink? Billy asked. She sat there, frozen, thinking, now unable to look into their eyes. She started and stopped. I didn't see anything. Billy revealed his disappointment in turning away as he looked at the river on its endless quest for the ocean. Billy, Rink said, and waited for him to look back at her. I think something walked past. I can't say what it was. Maybe it was ghosts. Monroe County Sheriff vehicles, 3 of them, appeared in the road ahead, coming in the team's direction, their tires emitting an ominous crunching as they approached. When they drew up alongside the team, the window of the lead vehicle slowly descended. It was one of the deputies they had interviewed. The thought that they were about to be taken to jail crossed Billy's mind, and having this particular officer arrest him brought a deep, dull pain in the middle of his chest. Get in, the deputy said. Why? We're leaving, Billy told him. We're giving you a lift, the deputy said, and finally allowed a smile to seep out. When Billy hesitated for a moment, the man added, Hurry before Tinker sees you. He's pissed. Petra began loading equipment in the second car, while Billy threw gear into the trunk of the lead vehicle. Up here or back there? Billy asked. The officer smiled. Up here. Robo might have to ride in the back, though. Billy glanced over his shoulder and saw Robo looming down. You okay with that, Robes? I think I'll be all right. The cruiser smelled faintly of antiseptic and air freshener, and Billy passed on the notion to ask why. He didn't really want to know. Robo wore his customary expression of faint amusement yet slight disdain. Boss, it is sort of claustrophobic knowing you can't open the doors, Robo said, moving his eyes from side to side and sitting upright as if the slightest movement might make him ill. I'll climb out and open the doors if needed, big man. The comment seemed to suffice, and Robo turned to stare out the window as they began the descent along River Road. So, where are we going? Billy asked. He had seen movies where deputies deposited unwanted visitors at the city limit sign, which in this case might be the county line. I'm taking you back to the motel, the deputy told him. But listen, I would pack and grab the first flight out. Billy waited without speaking. Look, Tinker's gonna find something, some way to lock you up. Probably try to scare you. It's trouble. You guys don't need that. Billy still said nothing. You folks are trying to do your job. I'm sorry. Now it was Billy's turn to look out the window. He thought of Ed and the show. Maybe it was for the best. His next thoughts brought him to anger. They had done nothing wrong. This was their chance to possibly find Bigfoot. He wasn't about to let the opportunity slip through his fingers. Thanks for the advice, Billy said. They drove toward the hotel. When the team had unloaded their gear, the deputy shook Billy's hand and wished him luck. The group watched them drive away. What do we do, boss? For a moment, Billy was at a loss for words before he finally said, Let's chill out for a little while. Let me call Ed. Let me think. He can't just tell us to leave, Harrison said. Billy turned to the actor and waited. I mean, Tinker. You can't just tell someone they have to leave town. We haven't done anything. It was a surprising comment that spoke volumes. I'm with him, Robo said. I say we find Bigfoot. Billy did not want to go to jail. He also did not want to leave. Okay, meeting in my room in 1 hour. What are we going to do, Billy? Rink asked quietly as the group began collecting gear. It wasn't every day an Indiana Jones quote could be used, but this was a great opportunity. I don't know. I'm making this up as I go along, Billy said. They're trying to kick them out. Hello, hello, Colleen, Andy. Glad to have you guys here with us tonight. And welcome on in, everybody else. As a reminder, we are recording the chapters tonight, so if you have missed any of it, you can catch up on youtube.com/@SirArminius. I will have all of tonight's chapters posted a little bit later this evening. And of course, all the chapters that we have already read are up and available at youtube.com/@SirArminius. All for your listening pleasure. Let's see, any questions from anybody out there tonight? No. Most of them show up on my screen, but just in case, I have a couple other ones I have to check. I don't see anything else other than some hellos, and let me just say I am very happy to have you all here with me tonight as we continue the hunt for Bigfoot. Ah, yes, Bigfoot. Super Chat. I don't know what Super Chat is. I got nothing. I have no idea. I've never heard of Super Chat. I think it's just normal chat, but you put a cape on it, because then it is Super Chat. Haha. But I'm bumching. All right, let's go ahead and continue on with Chapter 29. Robo and Rink were the first to arrive at Billy's room, and they found him in the parking lot, walking around in circles as he talked on the phone. His suitcase sat in the doorway holding it open, and he motioned for them to go inside. Harrison was next, and Billy waved him inside as well, all the while muttering, "Yes, yes, sir. No problem." The entire group finally arrived, and at 10 minutes past 7, Billy entered and pulled his bag inside, shutting the door behind him. His altered demeanor spoke of good news. "Everyone up for a Bigfoot hunt?" The team looked to each other before Gable spoke. "Hunt?" A bad choice of words, all things considered. "Expedition. How about that?" Boss, we get caught, we're going to the pokey." "No pokey." "How? I thought," Rink began. "Listen, I've been on the phone with Ed. I've been on the phone with the governor." "The governor?" Petra blurted. Yes, the governor. It's a long story. We're meeting the National Guard in Madisonville. They will transport us to the falls in one of their personal vehicles. In the back. They want our expertise. At least the governor does. Probably something to do with good publicity. Who cares? Everybody in?" No one spoke, but there was a collective head nod, even if it was accompanied with raised eyebrows. "Load the gear. Our biggest adventure yet," Billy said. At least, he hoped so. The team parked their big van on the side of the road at a split in the road and loaded into the military transport. A big covered truck like one in which the Nazis chased Indiana Jones and his booty, the Ark of the Covenant. Their driver, a youngish man who introduced himself as Tyler, immediately got out and helped them load gear into the back. He had seen the show. He was a big fan. Gosh, he couldn't believe he got to meet them. "You're filming me too, of course, I believe." The military vehicle was hot and uncomfortable with no breeze and no air conditioning, but hopefully it would get them past the sheriff and into the restricted area. Billy, sitting next to the tailgate, studied each of his team members. Robo sat next to him, with his long legs pulled to his chest and his hat down to his ears and over his face, the happily bewildered expression replaced with strain. Rink was no better, her brow furrowed with concern. Harrison's eyes were closed as he leaned back with his head against the canvas that covered the bed of the large truck. Gable and Petra sat on the opposite side, with Petra working, filming the ride. The brakes whined on what must have been the upper part of River Road, and the truck growled to a stop. "Going to the falls," a voice said. They held their breath. "You too, Sheriff. Have a nice day." Tinker seemed to be everywhere. They rumbled on toward the falls. If the team could have seen outside, they would have known darkness had fallen. Billy startled and jumped when the canvas swung open on their arrival. He had fallen asleep. How long ago had he slept? He couldn't remember now, and his exit and jump to the asphalt made him realize how stiff and tired he was. He wasn't sure what sort of happy face he could muster, but he would find out soon enough. "Billy Mason," a man with big teeth and an even bigger grin said as he extended his hand. "I'm Captain Gerald." Nice to meet you, Captain. I think we're here to serve you. This is Gable Marks." "That's good, real good. The boys are ready to hike again." The captain laughed, long and loud, as he pointed in a gesture that urged the team to follow him. Gable turned to Billy and muttered, "The rice is abundant in Ors Stoltorub." Billy said nothing and directed his attention back to the captain. "We'll go up to the falls and out from there," Gerald said. "Follow me." "You'll tell me what that means?" Billy asked Gable as they followed. "Latin," Gable said, and when Billy continued looking with expectation, Gable added, "Laughter is the abundance in the mouth of fools." "That's good. Real good," Billy said, impersonating the captain. "I take it you are not impressed?" "No," Gable replied. His nose and mouth made a bitter expression. "Furthermore, Bulgare here come." Again Billy waited. "Milking a male goat." "Good grief, Gable. I suppose we'll see. At least law school came in handy for something." It wouldn't take long for Gable's declaration to become abundantly correct. "Ah, I see. So I can send you money for what you do. Unfortunately, I am not monetized on YouTube or TikTok or Kick or Rumble. The only one I think I am monetized on is Twitch. But yeah, I don't really have a way for people to be able to send me money. I should probably do something about that someday. For now, at least, though, I just appreciate the sentiment. If nothing else, take a look at some of the indie authors that I have been reading the stories of and give them your support. You can check out Tim D. Smith, scan that QR code on your screen, and it will take you to Tim's website, where you can find out more about the books that he has written. But I do appreciate the thought of sending me money for what I do. All right, let me check really quick. Comments, questions, concerns. No. Alrighty. Then we can continue right along as we'll move into our next chapter. Yeah, maybe one of these days I'll set up a Patreon or something so people can buy me a cup of coffee or something if they want to. That might be an idea. But for now, Chapter 30. Walking in woods never changed. For Billy, it seemed like it would get easier, as if one night his eyes might somehow adjust more easily, or his footing would become more sure. But it never did. Tonight was no different. The only thing that made it easier was all the flashlights. Even those didn't help much, though. Spread out across the mountainside, the troops did manage one thing. They prevented snakes from being able to avoid people. Normally, snakes felt the vibrations of footsteps and either hid or fled. On this night, one snake tried its best to escape by fleeing to the outside of the line of soldiers. The last person in the line stepped on its tail. It responded by spinning sideways and biting at the searcher's leg. Luckily, its fangs caught in the fabric of the man's pants, where it hung and couldn't release. The man screamed, a true Wilhelm scream, and danced around in circles until someone cut the snake into two equal halves. Then, a general commotion ensued when another soldier managed to actually grab a raccoon by the scruff of the neck. Robo convinced them to release the critter. The troops didn't like the explanation that raccoons might actually eat Bigfoot bones. It didn't matter to them. Very few of the soldiers, all but Tyler possibly, thought a Bigfoot was in these mountains, and like a cartoonish Tasmanian devil, the guards scoured the mountains. In fact, fatigue was the only thing that finally calmed the group. The entire squad eventually grew weary of the approaching morning. Billy heard the radio crackle around 4:30 a.m. He must have been dozing lightly, because everything swam around him for a second as he tried to pinpoint the sound. The second time, a voice called on the radio, and before it could be retrieved by someone capable of answering, he heard the excitement more clearly. "Westerly direction. On foot," the voice said. Then his next comment was drowned by the sound of gunshots. "Fall in!" Gerald screamed, and there was a general commotion as all of the troops gathered supplies. Petra had sprung up, so awake she appeared to have never slept. Gable staggered behind the first troops as if someone had dragged him from a cozy bed. Billy followed, as fast as his waking body was able. The troops were no longer marching. They were jogging. Robo straggled at the rear. The radios among them were alive. Apparently, no protocol had been established, and the National Guardsmen drowned out the communication with gunfire. A battle of some sort had erupted. "Coming your way," a voice on the radio said, and almost immediately Gerald commanded everyone to hold tight. A collective catching of breath could be heard along with the sounds of the morning creatures. No one moved. Then, in the distance, something crashed through the brush, rumbling down the mountain, away from them. The commotion was followed by more gunshots, and the guard hit the ground, flat on their faces. The researchers did the same, as Billy's worst fears seemed to be materializing right in front of him. Gerald could be heard screaming for ceasefire and trying to relay his position. At least 100 more shots rang out before the hillside grew quiet. The entire group rose and began hiking down the mountain. Billy assessed his own troops, who looked shaken but wide-eyed now and alert, and motioned for them to fall back. "Keep them in sight, but let's stay back a little," Billy said. "Be ready to duck for cover. This is crazy." "What were they shooting at?" Harrison asked no one in particular. No one responded. "Boss?" Robo asked. He was about 50 yards back, and for a split second, Billy thought the man might be collapsing. "You okay, Robes?" Billy asked. "I think you need to see this." The research team went to his side. Billy didn't see it at first. In fact, it blended in with dead leaves. Then, he realized what Robo had noticed. 3 large, distinct drops of fresh blood. Only 3. "Footprints, too," Robo said. "Big ones." "Oh my," was the only reply Billy could muster. "They're going in the wrong direction," Robo said. "Let them," Billy said. He looked down into a steep ravine. Somewhere down there, off in the distance of the morning, was a wounded Bigfoot. Oh no. Bigfoot has been shot, ladies and gentlemen. That, my friends, is not okay. I mean, that's what all of the other people are in the woods to try to do, but still, Just not okay. We don't like it. We don't like it, I say. Let's continue on, shall we? And find out more about what's going on and whether they can manage to catch up with this Bigfoot. Chapter 31. Morning had broken by the time they arrived back at the foot of the mountain. Again, Tyler helped load their gear, and they crawled into the back to allow him to seal them inside. Just a short hop, he said, almost unbelievably cheerful. Thank you, Tyler, Billy said. You think I'll be on the program? We'll see what we can do, I promise. I'd love to go on an expedition sometime, you know. If this one doesn't turn up something, I want to help find Bigfoot. We'll see, Tyler, Billy said. I mean, I hope they didn't hit that Bigfoot. It was like a war. Billy looked at Robo, who sat expressionless. Who would want to hurt a Bigfoot? Tyler asked. I don't think he did anything, you know, if he's out there. They said the other group saw him. I think they did. Billy nodded and sat waiting on the soldier to close them inside. Finally, when it was apparent no more conversation was to be had, Tyler did so before the team heard him walk around the vehicle, climb inside, and crank the engine. The truck lurched and began its descent. What do we do now? Robo asked. We go back, Billy said. What? We go back to the van and start hiking back up the long way. Boss, I don't want to go to jail. Look, Billy said, I'm not issuing some kind of order. If any of you want to go on back to the motel, I'm okay with it. No hard feelings. We're all exhausted. I'm going back in the direction of those blood drops. I've got to satisfy myself. I'm going to do my best to find that Bigfoot. Billy looked to each of the other weary team members as the bumpy road jostled them in their seats and watched as they looked at each other. Boss, I'm with you. I've got a film. I might need to leave some of the gear, though, Petra said. I'm in, Harrison said. Cable turned to Rink, and they both nodded. The first order of business will be to find a place to nap. Sound like a plan? Everyone agreed and wondered how much food Robo had stored away in case of emergency. Luckily, they wouldn't be disappointed, though it was mainly beef jerky. The team drove a little closer to the last known location of the sheriff's deputies and pulled onto a logging road where they wound around the corner and eased the vehicle off the path, hidden from the main road. They began their trek. By noon, and running on fumes, they located a depressed area near what looked to be a tributary of the Tellico River. Within minutes, every team member was asleep. When Billy awoke, night had begun to fall. His mind was too foggy to discern what type of bird sat singing above him in a pine tree. So he remained still and listened and let his mind begin to race. Billy, Rink whispered, causing Billy to jump. Her head was within a foot of Billy's. They had been so tired, no one had bothered to pitch a tent. Scared me, Billy said, as he came up on an elbow and turned his head around to look at her. Sorry. No, I just didn't know anyone else was awake. We were pretty wiped out. I guess so, she said, still looking at him. Should we wake them? Billy asked. No, let them sleep. We moving or staying here? What do you think? Would it do us any more good? We might stumble upon the guard or the deputies. I'm sort of feeling like we're trapped. Yeah, I'm thinking we hunker down here. Rink continued looking Billy square in the face, causing him to smile. What? I don't know, she began, and looked away for only a moment before rolling onto her stomach and rising on her elbows. I, uh, it's just you. The bird sung overhead. Billy, You're amazing. Blush, Billy said. Do tell. You've been so in charge. You never lose your temper. Not really. I can see you balancing everyone's needs with what you believe, truly believe. You make me want to believe. I don't know what to say. I really do believe. I know you do, she said. I don't have answers for some of the things that have happened on this expedition. I can't rationalize or explain things. It scares me. Let's get proof then that we'll both be happy. Boss. Boss, we gonna sit here and talk or what? Robes, I didn't know you were awake. I wasn't. I am now. We still have that jerky I passed around? I'm starving. Dig in that bag, Billy said. The conversation in the rustling bag awoke Gable and Harrison, who in turn awoke Petra, who began filming at once. Harrison didn't appear hungry. In fact, he seemed to have awakened from enlightenment. Billy, I've well, sort of had this idea. Can I share? Of course. What will we do if we see Bigfoot now? Oh, the times Billy had imagined it. He had dreamed of taking pictures, studying and imprinting the vision on his brain. But now, the full weight of the comment settled over him. He tried to speak and couldn't. Harrison continued. What if he's hurt? Harrison asked. It wasn't a situation Billy wanted to address. If Bigfoot was a wild creature, albeit shy and elusive, his or her demeanor might change drastically if it had been wounded. None of them were medics or doctors. What are you thinking? Billy asked. Harrison studied the ground in front of him and took a deep breath. You know how Tom, the vet, said he'd know an hour before you got here. Yeah? Maybe we should know what we might do, Harrison said. I'm listening. Billy rearranged and sat cross-legged. Would we harm Bigfoot? Harrison asked. No, absolutely not. Would we help it? Of course, Billy said. So, it makes me think, Harrison said. You're going to think I'm crazy. Say it, dude. I've said things I know are crazy, Robo said. He looked at Petra, who was grinning behind the viewfinder of her camera. Billy, how would Bigfoot be so prescient? Oh, well, he might be able to ascertain our actions through lots of input. Spock, talk in English, Robo said. How would Bigfoot know what was going to happen, Robes? He would collect all sorts of data and be able to sense what is happening. Dogs do it in a remarkable degree as their interactions with humans demonstrates. Yeah, but Tom said, Harrison continued, that some Native Americans think Bigfoot can read their minds. Probably, but... No buts, Billy, Rink interrupted. If you want me to believe, why is that difficult? Touché, Rink. Continue, Harrison. What if we collectively, thought to Bigfoot and told him we wanted to help him if he's been wounded? Billy turned the idea over in his mind. The worst that could happen would be that nothing would happen, which would not be the end of the world. They would still be sitting quietly and maybe get lucky on having a Bigfoot pass. They could maybe get a picture or, better yet, film him. As if Harrison read Billy's mind, Harrison added, We would need to offer an olive branch. We can't film. Coming from the actor who wants FaceTime, I take this as sincere. But we have to know what we plan to do. If we can't help him, We can't be seriously sincere. I know what we do, but I don't know how we could do it, Gable interjected. Go on. If we could get him to Tom, the vet could fix him up. It seemed like a worthwhile plan, and by the reaction of the group, it appeared they wanted to give it a try. Okay, how do we start? Billy asked. Feels sort of strange. Get a snack. Get relaxed. It's just like meditation. Clear your mind. Concentrate. Try to enjoy being inside your own head, Harrison said. I'm game, Rink said. Petra, are you okay not filming? You tell me when and if you want electronics operated, she said. They leaned back and closed their eyes as darkness finally fell all around them. Well, guys, what do you think? Are they going to be able to telepathically let the Bigfoot know that they are there to help and that maybe it would be best if it came to them? So, for those of you guys who have not been with us all along through all of the readings, earlier in the book, they had met an old man named Tom, a vet, retired at this point, who basically said that some believed that the Bigfoots would know an hour beforehand that you were looking for them because some of the Native Americans thought that they could read minds. So you've heard that repeated a lot throughout the book. They would know an hour before that something was going to happen. And so that's where this idea comes in that maybe if they thought to the Bigfoot, it could understand their thoughts and would come to them so that way they could help. I guess we find out, won't we? All right, let's check really quick for any questions out there. As a reminder, we are recording these chapters, but you are welcome to ask any questions, stop on by wherever, and I am happy to answer those questions in between chapters as time goes on. We will be happy to do any of that with you. All right, I don't see any questions out there. If you guys have not already, please stop by youtube.com/@SirArminius. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. It helps to support me in my support of indie authors. All right, let's go ahead and continue on, shall we? With Chapter 32. Billy didn't know where to begin and sat for a moment with his eyes closed before finally thinking to himself, We mean you no harm. He felt ridiculous, though, like he was speaking to an alien that had landed in a spaceship. Then he changed his thoughts to, We want to help you. When that line of thinking grew old, he began to imagine he was speaking with Bigfoot and telling him, or her, that he had always dreamed of meeting him and that he couldn't imagine harming him, or her. Billy opened his eyes. It seemed that Harrison was deep in thought, sitting in a pose befitting of a mantra. Rink looked like she was praying or sleeping. Robo was more than likely asleep. It was impossible to tell what Gable was doing. The woods were dark and quiet. Almost too quiet. Billy thought about his father, who used to be a tremendous hockey fan. It seems like I get this feeling just before a player scores. The hairs on my arms stand on end, and there's this anticipation, like I know it's going to happen. Billy felt that way now. It started in the pit of his stomach and sent a chill that radiated up his spine to the back of his neck. He looked around anxiously. Darkness. Nothing. He closed his eyes once more and saw his father. What would he have thought about all of this? What did he expect of his son? He never knew. Not really. Would he have approved of him roaming all over the countryside, hunting what most would consider a mythical creature? He would have thought the television show was pretty neat. It was, but that's not why Billy did this. He believed. Billy's eyes grew heavy behind the lids, all the way back to the eyeballs themselves. He let go and fell into a deep sleep. Rain had begun to fall, and the droplets fell onto Billy's forehead and were running down his face when he awoke. The day was gray. The others were covered in sleeping bags and shirts. He rolled over and raised up on an elbow. The rain made tiny plinking sounds on the leaves overhead and the ground. On the ground. He tried to focus. On the ground. There, on the leaves, on a twig, darker droplets that were not water. It was blood. A chill raced over Billy. He sat then, quick, a movement of surprise, his breath whisking into his lungs in one swoosh like one might upon discovering a huge spider crawling up a lake. He backed away. Several drops, all around. He couldn't scream. Nothing came out. His throat was dry. He saw him. He sat on his haunches, squatting like a catcher preparing to call a pitch. Massive. His head was enormous. His brown eyes stared into Billy's. His right hand held his side and was caked with old and new blood. Billy could hear his breathing. "Hey, Billy." It was Rink. She was beginning to sit up. "Be still," he whispered in an urgent hiss. Rink did so. He moved his eyes from her to their visitor. "Don't move quickly." Rink turned her head and her eyes flew open wide, her breath coming in short, urgent spurts. How would one react to awaking in a gorilla compound? That must have been what she was thinking. He could have done anything he wanted, but he hadn't. He was hurt. Billy looked to Harrison, who was sitting absolutely still, but with a wide smile. "No one's going to hurt you," Gable said. He was also awake. "Be quiet, Gable," Billy hissed. For once, Gable was quiet. "I'll be darned." Robo was smiling too, his gap of missing tooth showing. "I'm sorry," Billy said, and decided in that instant to think the comment instead. Then, in another afterthought, he added they had nothing to do with this. They wanted to help. "A man did it," Billy said. "You heard it too," Rink said. "I can't believe this." "A man hurt you?" Billy asked, and again thought the comment. The Bigfoot's head turned somewhat and he looked away. A man had hurt the girl. "Not one of us," Gable said. "Be still, Gable," Billy said, louder this time. A moment passed, and the Bigfoot bent in pain. His breathing was even more labored, and a sound escaped his lips. Then, unexpectedly, he raised his eyes to the treetops and began a long, mournful wail that Billy felt in his chest. Then, all was quiet. No one moved. "The man with the gun did it," Billy said. He and Rink looked at Gable. "Don't look at me," Gable said to them. "He says he's dying," Billy said. "Who killed the girl?" A minute passed, and the Bigfoot rose, still holding his side, his muscles now visible under the hair on his body, his massive hands and torso glistening in the rain. "The driving man with the lights," Billy said. "Tinker?" The Bigfoot swayed and went to a knee. "We've got to take him to Tom." "How?" Rink asked. "We've got to make it to the vehicle," Billy said. "Follow us?" They began to gather their gear. As if he read her mind, Billy spoke to Petra. I want to as well. We promised. No worries, she said. Let's go. They began to walk down the mountains, with Bigfoot following, his heavy steps shaking the ground they trod. So Bigfoot is somewhat telepathic. That is a revelation, yes? Oh, yes. Yes, it is. Now, can they get him to the safety of Tom and his ability to hopefully take care of the Bigfoot? Let's continue along and find out, shall we? Chapter 33. Billy peeked over his shoulder to spy Bigfoot. Again, it was like going on a date with a supermodel. He needed to be certain he wasn't dreaming. Bigfoot's chestnut hair was not matted, which surprised Billy, but yet covered his body in locks that only appeared as if the fur was stuck together. Furthermore, the hair was glossy and rich, seemingly soft. Billy wanted to touch it, gently. Had it not been for the gunshot wound, Billy could see that this creature was healthy and magnificent, and Billy's heart hurt, followed by something that could only be described as anger and resentment. Billy, Harrison said, never breaking stride and steadying himself by holding trees as he descended the hillside. Yes? Where will we put him? I think he will fit in the very back, Billy said. He'll have to. We can't walk all the way to Tom's farm. If someone stops us, he'll need to be covered. Two things, okay? He might not like it, first of all, Harrison said. He'll know. I think it will be okay. Fair enough. Second thing, he, really smells. Billy considered the comment. Could Bigfoot be offended? He doubted it. Bigfoot smelled as if he'd been in the wild, sort of like John the Baptist. Yes, he did have a wild smell, overlaid with the aroma of a new penny, probably from his bleeding wound. Yet the smell was one that a human could probably grow accustomed to, like farmers to livestock when they work around them daily. Maybe roll down a window? Billy offered. Harrison didn't ask any more questions and continued walking. What do we do about Tinker? Rink asked. She was ahead of Billy, in more ways than one, and didn't even turn around to ask the question. Let's do one thing at a time, Billy said. He hadn't gotten very far in his thought process. Then another thought occurred to him. We have to take care of our friend. He's a witness Tinker would probably like to eliminate. Bigfoot let out a small sound, just loud enough for the team to hear, a sort of grunt and vocalization like a person makes sometimes when they are drifting to sleep, and then stopped, his eyes looking off into the trees. A car? Billy asked. That popped into my mind as well, Gable said. I didn't hear anything. He did, though, Billy said, and that's what matters. His senses are 100 times better than ours. The road is about a mile from here, Gable said. The van a little closer. As if continuing was not what he desired, but yet realized as a task that must be done, Bigfoot lowered his head and looked up once more with resolve before beginning to walk again. The journey was becoming more difficult. He was still losing blood. The sand in the hourglass of his life was trickling down. They continued for a few minutes before Robo spoke. Let me go on down to the van to make sure everything's okay. If anyone is around, I'll say I don't know where everyone else is. The team and Bigfoot stopped and let Robo proceed. Gable sat where he was, crossing his legs before dislodging his backpack. He shook his head back, running his fingers through his hair to pull his long locks behind his ears, and seemed disinterested in their new team member. Rink sat also and continued stealing glances at the Bigfoot. Her eyes belied the fact that each time she did so, she looked away and seemed to be processing information as her eyes went to some distant, invisible place. Harrison and Petra smiled in his direction, amiable and caring. Bigfoot was too immersed in his own agony to display any emotion other than pain. A few moments later, Robo returned, and when he was close enough to speak, he beckoned them to proceed. If any human being was close enough to be a threat, the Bigfoot made no indication, if he had been able to at this point, and no one could be certain. They slowly made their way to the van. Robo opened the back and unfolded a big gray tarp. Billy turned to face the Bigfoot. Can you get inside? We'll cover you so no one can see. We want to take you to our friend Tom. He can help. Without raising his eyes, the Bigfoot did as instructed and climbed inside, folding his big legs under him. The van sagged and creaked under his weight. Will it carry us all? Harrison asked. I don't know if it will even drive. It has to, Billy said. No, it doesn't have to, Harrison said. I could stay behind. Billy considered the comment. I'll do whatever you want me to as well, Petra added. Billy continued to think. He needs help. Quick. Are you sure? Billy asked. Both of them nodded. Keep your phone and radio handy. Thank you. He walked to Petra and hugged her before releasing and going to shake Harrison's hand. The Bigfoot began to lean his upper body down into the van and suddenly stopped, startling Billy and causing him to stand upright. The Bigfoot raised his left hand slowly, then reached toward Billy, who watched the massive extremity grow closer, expecting at any moment that a frightened blow might be delivered. In his heart, Billy was sure that wouldn't happen. He reached for Billy's hand, and when he took it, he placed it on his massive chest and moved it to let Billy stroke his hair. Soft indeed, before leaning down to lie on the carpeted interior. The remaining team members covered Bigfoot gently, closed the back, and jogged around to load inside. Petra and Harrison watched them maneuver the vehicle onto the trail and depart, wondering what the future held, before walking toward the road. Ah, so the team has separated. Never split the party! Never split the party! Ah, that's for all my D&D friends out there. You know, you never split the party. Because it's always a bad idea. All right, guys, let's continue on. Chapter 34. I can hear him breathing, Rink said. Billy wanted to answer. He wanted to say something reassuring. He wanted to hurry. He wanted everything to be all right. Like Robo said, though, put your wishes in one hand and shit in the other, then see which one fills up faster. Billy, Rink said. She had seen the blue lights before he had. Billy pulled the van to the side of the road, past the split and within sight of Tellico. He rolled the window down and could not have been more disappointed when he realized Tinker was walking toward the vehicle. I thought I told you boys to scram. Heading out of town as we speak, Sheriff. I wish you the best of luck. You wish me the best of luck. You're a funny guy. No wonder you're a big Hollywood hit. Should I get out of the car, Sheriff? Billy asked. He could smell Bigfoot in the back, and he was beginning to wonder if Tinker could. You just sit right there. I'm gonna run a check on your license and everything else. Surely someone wants you, and to be honest, it's not me. Sit tight. Besides, you need a shower. Yes, sir. Tinker backed away from the van as if it held a gang of vigilantes. It was any wonder he didn't call for backup, but it made sense to have no other witnesses. Billy wondered if the sheriff was indeed running a check on him. The stop would be recorded in dispatch records. What's taking him so long? Rink asked after a while. All sorts of things went through Billy's mind, and none of them were good. Bigfoot had begun to breathe more loudly. Boss, he doesn't sound good. What are we gonna do? Sit, hope, pray. I'm out of answers, big man. Tinker got out of the vehicle and walked to the van, eyeing it with even more suspicion and peering in the back. Billy held his breath. For a split second he considered starting the van and making a run for it, but that would have been futile. Sheriff? You got anything back there? The sheriff asked. How could he have known? Billy thought. How could this be happening? Lots of pretty useless equipment, Billy said, which was the truth. He wondered if the sheriff had noticed that the entire group wasn't present. Maybe he had them in custody back on River Road. We might need to empty everything out and check, Tinker said. And as he said it, Billy's mind went into a sort of blurry haze, like his thinking process suddenly had a bad signal, all fuzz and static. What? Billy asked. It was all he could say. What was that? Tinker asked. Billy was confused. What? Billy asked. Tinker started, took a step back, and scratched his head. Billy said nothing. Did you say something? Tinker continued. No, sir. Did you, or do you, Tinker began once more, and again staggered back when the static came once more, an uncomfortable feeling that made Billy woozy. I'm nauseous, boss. Billy felt it too. Rink rolled down her window. Listen, you get out of here, and I mean it, Tinker said. He looked as though he might take a knee. Leave. I don't want to see you again. Yes, sir, Billy said. His head had cleared. Tinker turned and returned to the cruiser. Billy did not need to be told twice. He started the van, looked behind him, and eased into the road, leaving the cruiser sitting with its blue lights flashing and disappearing in the rear-view mirror. That's not a good feeling. I think Bigfoot gave us some help. Maybe we can help him, Rink said. Billy picked up speed. They were not being followed. Yes, get him to Tom. That's all you need to do. Just get him to Tom. Tom will make it all better. That's my story. Oh, that's my story. I ain't got a witness, and you know I can't prove it. But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Chapter 35. Billy parked in Tom's driveway and jumped out to sprint to his doorway as the rest of the team went to the rear of the vehicle to uncover Bigfoot. Billy did not simply knock, but instead repeatedly and constantly hammered the door with his hand. It was not surprising that Tom was alarmed as he opened the door. Dr. Woods, we need your help, Billy said. Tom said nothing. Forget that. Come with me. Billy didn't wait, but turned to walk across the yard to the vehicle. He glanced back once to confirm that Tom was following him. When Billy walked around the vehicle, he turned back and waited on the man. My God, Tom muttered. His mouth hung open. What happened to him? Tom's expression was one of disbelief and anger, but thankfully not accusatory. The National Guard shot him, Billy said. Can you help? I'll try, of course. How did you get him to the van? Did you carry him? No, Billy said. So he can still walk? I'm doubtful at this point, Billy said. The Bigfoot was struggling to draw in air, and each time he did, they could hear a loud wheezing sound. A tremendous patch of drying blood caked his left side down over his hip. I'll be back, Tom said, and this time he ran as fast as he was able to the house as he yelled for his wife. Soon they both returned carrying a gurney. Tom cradled the phone between his head and shoulder. Please, this cannot get out, Billy said to Tom. I'll explain. Not to worry, Tom told him, sitting down the stretcher and covering the phone. Somehow get him on the stretcher. Phyllis will show you where to go. Can you all carry him? I'm not sure. We'll try. By the time the group managed to get Bigfoot to the back of the house and into what looked like some sort of veterinarian operating room, Tom appeared again and began washing his hands. His wife had already begun as well. They heard the front door open, and for a split second Billy thought he should go to the door and guard it. It's okay, Tom said. My friend. He's a doctor. I thought you were a doctor, Billy said. He's a medical doctor, not a veterinarian. Billy looked confused. This is no regular animal. No one can know, Billy said. Please. He's my best friend in the world. Well, other than Phyllis. He smiled at his wife, whose look of concern never changed. Soon Tom's friend entered the house, dragging and carrying a variety of equipment and accompanied by a woman in a lab coat. But when he saw the Bigfoot, he dropped much of it. His mouth flew open and seemed to be moving, but no sound came out. The woman froze as well. Charles, I never cease to surprise you, do I? Good morning, Margaret. We'll wait outside. Unless you need us? Billy asked. In the living room, Tom said. We may indeed need you. Billy, Rink, and Gable walked into the living room, but only Billy sat. Gable and Rink stood and paced. Can one of you call the others? See if they can get here without arousing suspicion, Billy asked Gable. Gable went onto the porch and paced while using the phone. Billy, I owe you an apology, Rink said. Why? Billy asked, and by the look on his face, Rink knew he had absolutely no idea why Rink would ever say such a thing. I didn't believe. Billy smiled. Sure you did, he said, and continued smiling with a tired sort of acceptance. No, no, I didn't. You just needed proof. I think in the back of your mind you sort of believed. You just needed to be shown. I didn't. You tried to show me. You tried to convince me. I still didn't believe. Rink, listen to me. Actions speak louder than words. You don't need to tell me things for me to know them. I always planned to keep on showing you. Eventually, you'd have to know. Thanks for waiting. There's even more to it than that, Billy said, and the smile had vanished from his face. Even more? Yeah. Shoot. I should just shut up. No, you shouldn't. Tell me these things. You're, uh, I... What? Rink asked, and quit pacing to sit beside him on the out-of-place Victorian couch. I like being around you. I like being around you too, Billy. I mean, I can't imagine doing this job without you being here. I've always been here. We've always been a team. I look forward to the expeditions. I've always wanted to find Bigfoot, and now we have. I just can't imagine you ever not being here. If you had to go help your mother, I would have understood. I didn't want it, though. What do we do now? Billy studied a fingernail and made an expression with his lips as he thought. He began shaking his head. Can you ask me again in a few days when we figure all this out? Absolutely. Gable walked in through the door. They got a ride. I'm sorry. Should I go back out and knock or something? Gable said. No. Why? Billy asked and stood to walk across the room to examine some photographs on a mantel. Looked like a serious discussion. They're on their way. Good, Billy said. We were discussing what we might do after all this settles down. This changes things. Neither Gable nor Rink spoke. This did change things. How would they possibly proceed after the most monumental discovery of the century, if not of all time? Their lives were forever altered. In about an hour, though it seemed much longer, they heard a knock at the door and found Harrison and Petra standing outside, disheveled and exhausted. "Come in," Billy said. "So, what's going on?" Harrison asked. "We're guessing surgery." "Should I film, Billy?" Petra asked. "No, let's not." "Good, 'cause I don't think I should film anymore. He's in danger." "I think you just said what each of us is thinking," Billy said. At that moment, the door to the back room opened, and the gentleman that Tom had called stepped into the living room. He had blood on his smock and even on his cheek. They all looked at him and waited. "Billy?" Charles asked. Billy nodded. "We need to take blood samples, quickly. If any of you, well, we need to sample your blood. He needs blood." "From us?" Billy asked. "How is that possible?" "I'm thinking it will work. Maybe one of you is the right type. We aren't." "But human blood?" "He's very close. Who's first?" They entered the kitchen after being steered away from the bedroom where Bigfoot was resting comfortably, but not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination. Pun not intended. One by one, samples were drawn from each of the team. The doctor was surprisingly fast, and within a few minutes he emerged once more. "Mr. Marks, you're a close match." "Good Lord, I thought it would be Robo," Gable said. Soon the experiment began. Bigfoot's life hung in the balance. Well, I guess if he is close enough to human, then I suppose that would work, right? Hey, well, why not? I mean, it's better than just letting him die. I definitely know that's for true. For true. For trues, I tells you. It's for trues. All right, I don't see any questions out there, so let us continue on with Chapter 36. Tom walked out of the back room around 3 a.m., his face weary and his hair askew. For a split second, Billy thought the man was about to deliver the news that Bigfoot had died. He couldn't even bring himself to inquire. Thankfully, Tom offered. "He's hanging in there, resting. He had not one but two slugs in him. One had punctured his lung. That was the sound you were hearing. Him trying to breathe. We think we got him cleaned out. He's strong. I guess you can imagine." "I'm glad," Billy said. He processed the information. "We've got plenty of room. Stay here. We'll know more in the morning." "Are you sure? You've done so much." "I'm sure. It's not safe for you to go back to the motel. In fact, I'd turn off all electronics. Make it where no one can track you." "You think Tinker would?" "No," Tom said. "I think it's worse than that." "How? How do you—" "Call it intuition," Tom said. "Be thinking about what you're going to do at this point. He's going to need our help for a little longer, even if he is strong." Tom turned and went back to the back. Maybe to work some more, maybe to watch his patient, maybe to rest. None of those possibilities would have been surprising. Around 5 a.m., Billy began dreaming one of the most bizarre dreams he had ever had. In his mind's eye, he saw a beautiful panorama of sweeping hills covered by low-lying fog as bright sunlight broke over a tall, faraway mountain. When he looked to his right, he saw two young Bigfoots and a taller female Bigfoot who looked to him with an unspoken smile. His heart leaped inside his chest, swelling it with pride and contentment. The two smaller ones leaped and danced away, going from upright down to all fours, rolling over each other and pulling each other down like a mixture of children and puppies playing. He heard the female ask some sort of question that he couldn't quite understand, but his response was clear. They must leave. This would not be like any other time. It was different this time. Things might never be the same. He heard a voice say, "Billy," and he woke to find Rink standing over him. Again, the horrible thought that he was being delivered the news of Bigfoot's death flooded over him. "Let's get some breakfast," Rink said. "Tom said we could see the Bigfoot in a while. He's sleeping." "I think I saw that," Billy replied, wiping sleep from an eye. Rink's hair stood on end, her fashion, with the side falling to her angular cheek, rosy and perfect. The morning light streaming into the room created a sort of halo. She was beautiful. "You had dreams too." "Like a movie," Billy said. "I think he's going to make it." "I do too. Don't ask me how I know. I just do." "We've got to get him out of here. Out of these mountains. Relocate him." "What do we do about Tinker?" "I'm not sure what we'll do. That will have to happen on its own time," Billy said. They walked into the living room and found Robo and Petra sitting cross-legged beside a coffee table. They were looking at something on her pad. "Last communications," Robo said. "Then we go dark." "What did you find?" "Looks like the National Guard is moving. Petra's got connections. They're going to Madisonville today. Maybe some sort of announcement." If everyone left, the task of getting Bigfoot to safety would be easier. They would only need to avoid Tinker and the deputies. It was time for some good fortune, and Billy hoped that was what would happen. Around 7 a.m., Tom came into the living room again, now in better spirits and wearing his mood like a happy secret. He had taken a shower, and remarkably, it looked as though he had slept, though that was unlikely. "Want to go see him?" Tom asked Billy. "He's awake." Billy looked to Rink, and they both began to smile before following Tom into the back room. Bigfoot was attached to several machines and monitors that must have already been in the clinic, and wires and hoses snaked in various directions. He had an IV and was wrapped in bandages across his middle. Much of his body had been shaved. Phyllis was asleep on a cot beside him, and across the room Margaret slept on another. Tom's friend busied himself with the back of one of the monitors as if he couldn't quite get one of the connections to cooperate. "I think he'll make it," Tom whispered. "I wasn't so sure last night." "You guys did it," Billy said, not taking his eyes off Bigfoot, who looked back to him with drowsy and drugged eyes. "We all did it. Let's not get complacent yet. We've got to help him escape," Tom said. "And his family," Rink replied. "You think he has family?" "I'm certain of it after last night." "So, you had the dream too," Tom said. "I don't know why I thought it might have been just me. It's like he's broadcasting." Billy could have gazed at Bigfoot for hours, but there was work to be done. He led Rink from the room. "Petra, do you think you could take Harrison and do some reconnaissance in Madisonville? Maybe find out what's going on with the guard?" "Sure." "We'll wait here. Maybe something will come to us. I'm pretty sure the guard is leaving, which is a good thing. I don't have any idea how we're going to pull this off, though." Billy hoped for a miracle. All right, guys, we are just continuing right along with Chapter 37. On Highway 68, as summer evenings set, the orange sun breaks over the last small hill upon entering Sweetwater, diluted by what looks like smoke over the neighboring foothills. As fate would have it on this sundown, Petra and Harrison followed National Guard trucks all the way to Madisonville, where they convened. with dozens of pickups surrounding the parking lots of the small downtown country seat. With sunglasses and caps, Harrison and Petra blended in well enough, and they walked among the guard trucks and personnel milling around before spotting a familiar face. Tyler. "Hi, friend," Petra whispered and smiled as she walked up behind him as he stood by his big green truck. "Petra!" Tyler exclaimed and hugged her. He smiled to Harrison. "Easy," Petra said, pulling away and looking around. "We're sort of incognito. I don't think we're supposed to be in Tennessee." "I think you can be anywhere you want to be," Tyler said. "What are you guys doing?" "I was about to ask you the same thing," she said. "We're getting our orders, I think, if my reconnaissance is correct. Our last shift will be tomorrow. Word is we're leaving, but I don't know any details." "Leaving?" Petra asked. "What about Bigfoot? Where are you going?" "I'll be taking this rig back to Nashville. Strange order. The big guys are acting weird." "So you're out of the Bigfoot hunting business?" "I guess so," Tyler said. "I really want to stay. They don't believe. I do." "Yeah, you should stay." "Are you going to be here?" Tyler asked. "Maybe." "Could you stay?" she asked. "I probably could." "When does the truck need to be in Nashville?" "I'm not the only driver." "I know, but, you know, if you could stay an extra day and then drive it back." "I doubt that would be doable." "You could try," Petra said, appearing to be on the verge of a wink. Tyler thought over the prospect. Petra turned the young man away from Harrison and had him to herself. "What do, Tyler began and looked over his shoulder to Harrison. "What do you have in mind?" "Do you want to find Bigfoot?" she asked. "Well, it's the only time I'll ask," she said, more forcefully this time, changing her tune with finality. "I do." "What about him?" Tyler asked, motioning with his head to Harrison, who was now turned away, minding his own business. "What do you mean?" "Are you guys dating or something?" "No," Petra said, and laughed at the thought. "We will probably all be here. You seem trustworthy, Tyler." "I am trustworthy." "Are you sure? I'm being completely serious." "Of course." "Got a piece of paper? Something to write with?" Tyler scanned his mental inventory and walked around to climb into the cab of the truck. He emerged with a scrap of paper and a pen. "This is for your eyes only," she said, and looked around the parking lot once more. "All bets are off if anyone else sees this. It's vital." She wrote on the paper. "Okay, 7 p.m. tomorrow evening," she began. "Be at this address in your truck. We'll find Bigfoot." "I can get back to Nashville by morning?" "I would think so," Petra said. She had no way of knowing that, but Tyler didn't know. "I'll be there," he said. "Good, good," she said, then leaned up and kissed him on the cheek. "This is more important than you can imagine." She left him standing there with his mouth open and walked toward the van. There really wasn't any other reason to remain. But as they were leaving, Petra and Harrison saw a troubling sight. Better yet, a troubling sight saw them. Three men in short-sleeved collared shirts, also in sunglasses, loitering in the parking lot. Three men out of place. FBI. They were typical. They hopped in the van before they could be followed and roared out of the parking lot. Almost everyone was sitting in Tom's living room when they returned, and they looked up when Petra and Harrison entered. "What'd you find out?" Billy asked, sitting in a recliner with a light over his shoulder reading something that looked like a romance novel. With all their electronics extinguished, it was the best he could probably do. "Tyler thinks the guard is moving out tomorrow evening," Petra said. "Tyler?" Billy asked. The boy that drives the big truck. You don't remember him? Sort of, Billy said. Okay, no, I don't. I've been distracted. Anyway, Petra continued, he's coming here with a truck tomorrow evening at 7. Wait, what? We have a truck. There's no way we can get out in the van, Billy. No one can know about Bigfoot. He doesn't. He thinks he's helping us find Bigfoot. Maybe we could put him in a crate, Robo said. Not Tyler, but the Bigfoot. This is getting crazy. We don't even know if he can travel, Billy said. We had to have something. I'm sorry, Billy. No, I was harsh. You did good. I'm sorry. We'll figure it out. Worst case scenario, we could always meet him and turn him away. He's coming here? Yes. We'll figure it out, Billy said, and sat thinking with the novel drooping over his knee. There's more, but I'm not certain about it, Petra said. What? Petra thinks she saw FBI guys, Harrison said. They've been around for a week, Billy said. It doesn't surprise me. She thinks that they, well, were watching us. Maybe I'm being paranoid, but ever since we met Bigfoot, I've been having all sorts of premonitions, like my senses are on high alert. Maybe I'm imagining things. Did they follow? We didn't give them the chance. I don't think anyone could have followed us. Tom's Jeep can fly, Harrison said. I don't think I could drive like that. What do you drive? Billy asked. I thought you'd have some sort of sports car. I don't actually have a car. It's just not practical. You city slickers, Billy said, smiling. So we wait. Better get a good night's sleep, gang. They didn't have to wait long before Tom emerged from the back, again looking refreshed and lively, even more so than earlier. He's sitting up, Tom said. That's remarkable, Billy said. Well, creatures in the wild have a remarkable ability to recuperate. He's no different. It is quite amazing, though. There's even more. They all waited. I'm getting these thoughts, like he's speaking to me. We need to leave tomorrow, before it's too late. No one knew what too late was, but it didn't sound encouraging. What do you guys think too late means? Do you think it means that the FBI will try to arrive and abscond with a Bigfoot? Will they try to have a Bigfoot of their own? No, we will never know. No, Bigfoot. Bigfoot, no. We just want you to be safe, Bigfoot. We love you. Don't go away. All right, I don't see any questions, so we will continue on. Doesn't that sound fantastic? Let's see, where are we at? We won't quite finish tonight, I don't think. But what the plan will be is we will finish on Tuesday, and then I'm going to treat everyone to a short story. Ah, yes, a short story. That will be fun. Let's do one more chapter, okay? Let's get to Chapter 38. During the night, Billy was awakened by the sound of choppers. Not one or two, but many going overhead. Looking out the window, he could see Highway 68 in the distance. Big vehicles and what looked like armored vehicles passed in the direction of Tellico in the falls. His night of sleep was officially over. They schemed throughout the day. Around 3 p.m., Billy could no longer stand the inactivity, and throwing caution to the wind, he asked Rink if she wanted to go into town with him, just to look around. The thought of Tinker being the killer had haunted him all morning. If the team and Bigfoot made a getaway, the likelihood of the sheriff getting away with murder increased. Placing an anonymous call to the FBI was futile and would put Bigfoot in jeopardy of being discovered. So, if he went to Madisonville, the only people he was truly avoiding were the sheriff and his deputies. At least right now. There was no way they could find any sort of crate large enough for Bigfoot to be hidden. He would simply have to load up with the team if they could get the truck. The team also considered that they might have to commandeer the vehicle. It might be the safest plan for Bigfoot and for Tyler, who couldn't be held accountable for the theft of the vehicle if they were caught. They also considered even crazier ideas, like dressing Bigfoot in clothing, the most unattractive female in Tennessee. They finally decided they would first simply attempt to try to convince Tyler to go along with them. Gable was certain he could persuade him. It was decided that Petra could do much better, though. With a rough idea of their plan of action, Billy and Rink drove to Madisonville. Certainly the guard was organizing to leave. The remainder of their troops would come out of the mountains late this afternoon, and that would be that. But as Shakespeare said, fortune brings in some boats that are not steered. He appeared at Billy's elbow after Rink went into a coffee shop. "This is crazy," the man said. He was a little taller than Billy, not old, not young, with a fresh haircut and a polo shirt that smelled new. "It is," Billy said. "Think they'll get the Bigfoot?" the man asked. "I doubt it," Billy answered. He looked to the man's inexpensive running shoes that were also new. "Pretty good. Not good enough, though. Sometimes playing dumb is the smartest thing you can do." "You think he did it?" "The Bigfoot?" Billy asked. "Yeah, sure, the Bigfoot," the man said. He took out a chapstick and applied it deliberately to his lips. "I don't think so," Billy said, and made it clear that he was considering the thought. "I would think the person who most wants us to believe a mythical creature murdered someone had something to hide himself. You sort of have to wonder what the person is hiding." "That's pretty smart," the man said as he offered his hand. "I'm Nolan." Billy shook his hand. "Bill." "Nice to meet you. You from here?" He knows exactly where I'm from, Billy thought. Now, how to get out of here? "From lots of places," Billy said. "It was nice to meet you, but back to what we were saying. If I had to suspect someone, and I never did really well in Clue, it would be Sheriff Tinker." The man turned to look directly in Billy's face. Before he could continue, Billy saw Rink. My friend is here. Nice to talk to you," Billy said as he left. "Who's your friend?" "FBI guy. Can't you tell? We need to scram." They made a beeline of escape, just as Petra had done earlier. 10 minutes before 6, the entire team stood beside the garage with all of their equipment in piles. Bigfoot and Tom remained inside. Tyler's involvement was a work in progress. The team would play it by ear. The plan, though, was to take Bigfoot to the top of Buck Bald. Hopefully, any remaining searchers would be focused on the Tellico side of the mountains, and if Bigfoot could rendezvous with others, the prevailing thought was that it was his family, they could escape going the other way. At 1 minute before 7, the team had begun to grow worried. When 7 came and went, they grew even more nervous. "Where is he?" Billy asked no one in particular. "He'll be here," Petra said. It was impossible to tell if she really believed what she was saying. On the roadway, 2 black, unmarked cars zipped by, doing more than 100 miles an hour in the twilight. Then 2 Apache helicopters flew overhead, going in the same direction. At a quarter past, several military vehicles and 2 armed personnel carriers flew down the road. And finally, the guard truck appeared at the entrance, slowing and searching for the driveway, and turned toward the house. It was showtime. All right, everyone, and that is where we will cut it for the evening. So, as always, thank you for being here with me. The greatest gift that you can give me is the gift of your time, and I appreciate that you guys gave me the gift of yours this evening. whether it was for 5 minutes or for the entire stream. If you have not done so already, please help support my channel by going out to youtube.com/@SirArminius and subscribing. It's free. Why not help support? All of the chapters that we read this evening will be uploaded and available for your perusal a little bit later, as soon as I can get them uploaded to YouTube. We will finish this story on Tuesday, and then you guys are going to get a short story from Space Wizards. That's right. The anthology Space Wizards Volume 1, the first book that I have that has a short story published in it. We will be reading a story from that book on Tuesday. So I hope you guys will all come and stop by to check it out. If you want to support the author of Bigfoot Found, Tim D. Smith, you can go right to one of the QR codes. Well, if you're in vertical, there's a QR code. If you're in horizontal, there's a QR code. So go to the QR code, scan it, and it will bring you right to the author's page so you can check out Tim D. Smith and how you can support him. Once again, thank you all for being here with me this evening. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I look forward to seeing you all on Tuesday when we wrap up this story. Have a great night, everybody.